In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the different tools that you have available to you on the Biology 107 lab site. So let's go through them one by one. When you open the page, once you click in the link for Biology 107L, Essentials of Anatomy and Physiology Lab, you'll see this. We don't usually use this front page for announcements very much because you have access to everything through the schedule. So I'm going to show you the syllabus and schedule are here. I highly recommend you at least print off the last page of the syllabus because it's a very set schedule. And so you'll know exactly when we have tests. We're not going to, we'll announce those in lab, but we're not going to put announcements on this page. So you want to make sure you have that schedule. What I want to spend the most amount of time on is this lab learning tools. We have provided you with several different ways to learn this material. Now, for a lot of you, this will be the first time you've studied for fill-in-the-blank tests where you don't have answers in front of you, either in multiple choice or as a page, a word bank with all the words on it. So that means a lot of you are going to spend a little more time studying for this than you have for other classes that you've had in the past. So for each lab, and I'm only on lab 6 is done, 7, 8, 9, and 10 I still have to finish, but you see the folders. Anytime you see a folder, if you click on that, you'll go to another set of items. So if I click on lab 1, and you'll see the same thing in each lab, you'll see video and audio podcasts, practice tests and quizzes, and pictures. I'm going to start with the video and audio podcasts. Audio podcasts are what they say. They are audio. And so what happens is these are MP3s, so you can download them to any MP3 player and listen to them. And what they do is they go through, I say a part, and what you're supposed to do is you repeat the name of the part and then you point to its location on the model. We'll do some of these in class. What they do is they help you, first of all, pronounce the terms correctly, which is important, but there's also been studies done that show if you can say the word correctly, then you're more likely to spell it correctly. And yes, spelling does count in this class when you take those tests. If you commute or if you walk, like I said, download these to your MP3 player and you can listen to them. And obviously if you're driving, you shouldn't be pointing at a model, but you can think to yourself where or what does that part look like as you go through these MP3 audio casts. So I recommend you use these, again, just to listen to practice and think about where the part is located. And again, by repeating the term, you're also going to help with your spelling. We go back to that same folder and we have review videos. What I've done is for each section, I have done videos through YouTube that goes over or reviews a model or a concept. So here, let me just click on one of these. It will take you to my YouTube site, hopefully. There we go. And I have all these videos. Okay. I don't think you can hear this. So what it does is you listen to my voice and I go through all these parts. These models are the same ones that we use in lab. So again, it's not like I'm pulling a picture out of nowhere. This is the exact model that we will use in class for organs. So you have a review of that you can listen to at home. And I recommend that you do that as much as possible until you're really comfortable with where the parts are located. So there are videos there for you. There's cell parts. There's also a directional term, which you'll understand after the first lab. So let's come back now. Here's lab 1 again. We've gone through video and audio podcasts. I'm going to jump down to pictures. This has pictures and images of the different models that we use, and it contains keys for those and also worksheets. So for example, here's a cell model. Okay, so you'll notice this is a model of the cell, exactly the same one we're going to be using in class. It's got all these letters on it, which are the different parts that you need. You can print that off. And then on a separate page, you have the key. Part of that's cut off, but that's all right. So here are the parts you need to know. They correspond with the list that you see in your lab packet. And again, they correspond to the letters that you saw in the last picture. Now, another way to practice for the test, again, because you don't have a word bank in front of you, is to print off this worksheet. And you notice on this worksheet it doesn't go in alphabetical order. I do know the alphabet, but I just did it in different order so it wouldn't force you to go in a different order than the key. By the time you get to the test, you should be able to have this worksheet in front of you, as well as the picture, without the key, and you should be able to go through and spell out each of the parts without the key in front of you. Now, as you're preparing for the test early on, you can use the key to help you, but what you need to do is slowly become less and less dependent on that key. So at first, see how many parts you can do without looking at the key, and then if you don't know them, look at the key and then write them down. The goal here is that you write the terms and you practice writing the terms. If you get to the test and it's the first time you've ever spelled the term mitochondria and spelled it out with a pen or pencil, you're going to have a very hard time. So the goal here is to get you to practice spelling them out and to work on spelling. If you have issues with spelling, you're going to have to practice more. You're going to have to practice more and do these over and over again. But like I said, by the time you get to the test, you should be able to fill this out looking just at the picture without the key and identifying the terms. We may have you hand these in on a weekly basis to make sure that you're doing the work. Okay, to make sure that you're doing the work. Yes, we know that you could just copy them off somebody, but I'm going to tell you your homework is not worth near as much as the tests that you're going to have to take in class. So again, these are tools for you to help you prepare. So that is pictures. For some, like muscles, there's going to be a lot more pictures than there is in this lab. Now let's go back to lab 1. The last tool you have for you is practice tests and quizzes. These are going to be mandatory that you complete these tests as we go through each lab. So you'll see here for lab 1 we have 4 practice tests. What we're going to do is we're going to assign these to you at the end of each lab, and it's expected to get your full points for this that you get at least an 80% on each test. Now I'm just going to show you one. You won't be able to see the whole thing. These tests are designed again to mimic the real test as closely as possible. So it says identify the cavity marked with an I. So down in here. Now you might not know what that is now, but sometime you will. And it asks you just not to include cavity in your answer. You have to put the correct answer in, and you have to spell it correctly. If you don't spell it correctly, then it's going to mark it wrong. So you want to make sure your source for these answers are the lab packet. Don't use the book. They may spell things a little differently. Use the lab packet. You answer the question, come down to the next one, and you go all the way through and you answer all the questions, and then you submit, and it will tell you how you did, what percentage you got. What we will do is before coming into your lab on a weekly basis, we will see how you did on all of these. Just taking it and not doing really well, you're not going to get full credit for you. If you're not taking these, we will send out attendance warnings because it means you're not doing what you need to prepare for this class. So you can take these over and over and over again. Again, just like the worksheets, by the time you get to the test, you should be able to do these tests, these practice tests, do well 90 to 100%, if not 100%, without looking at your notes. So that's why these are here. So we're doing everything we can to help you get through this class. But if you don't use these tools, you're probably not going to do very well. So I'm going to leave this page since I didn't actually take the test. So again, we're going to ask that you get certain percentages on these tests. We will check it before going into lab, and it's expected that you got that percentage. If you get 80% or better on everything, or I think that's the percentage we're setting, then you get that 10 out of 10 for that day. These will also help you get prepared for the daily quiz. So that's our expectations for you. But again, the reason we have these expectations is because we want you to do well in this class. If you don't practice these things, you will not do well. Lab many times is harder than lecture because of the fill in the blank questions. Now you may be asking, why fill in the blank? Because you guys are going into professions where not everything you do is going to be multiple choice. If something comes up and you have to deal with it quickly, it's not always going to be in multiple choice format. So we want to make sure that you can do that. Also, one more thing, you have your grades. When we grade your tests and the grades for these tests and so on, and the points we're giving you for doing these tests and your in-class quizzes will be under my grades. I'm not going to click it because it tells me it doesn't have any, because I'm an instructor on the site and not a student. Okay. Faculty will also have information. You're not going to be able to see it all. Oh, actually I need to do that. This is a new site. Faculty will have contact information that I will put in, and Any other lab instructor will also put that in. Okay. So again, this is just to show you what's available to you. Make sure you take advantage of what's there for you. We've done everything we can to try to help you. All right, go ahead and use those things, and hopefully you'll do really well.